We have to learn to let go and allow life to happen through us without any judgments, without any preconceived notions, just allowing life to be what it is.
We choose between the left and right, the ups and downs, the darkness or the light. We're finding who we are.
There's only one reform in life. When you and I stop living from our heads, you and I are here for one very solid reason, and that is to learn to be loving.
We're finding our way together, just you and me.
Namaste. Welcome to Aspire. We're going to be looking at a roller coaster ride of a very unique nature. We're going to be looking at the patience and our practice in it. Come aspire with us. Ready? I'm not ready. Are you ready, Greg? Yes, I'm ready. Are you? No? Are you? Ah! I don't know who I am. Okay, I'm ready. Ow! I feel good. Na, 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 na. What are you doing on Sunday mornings? If Socrates had said that, he would have been a really smart guy. Blasphemer! Would you believe this is a religious program? It's not. Around, around, around we go, and all of our beliefs tell us so. Gotcha. What do you think of Aspire? Let things roll, let things happen, let the gods come down and do your thing. Come on, like that. Ooh, baby. Sock it to me, gotcha, 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 gotcha. That was good. I gotcha. I got to admit, one of my very favorite actors, not because he's a good actor, in my opinion, oh, Clint, don't get mad at me, is Clint Eastwood. He makes me laugh because he says things that I'm thinking sometimes or that I'm emotionalizing at times, and it's really funny. One of his great lines in a movie he did recently was, I tried it once and didn't like it, which cracked me up. I mean, literally cracked me up. Nobody else in the theater was laughing but old Greg, and the reason for it was it's the attitude that I think a lot of us have when we begin to practice our meditation, for example, or our inner work. We try it once, we get a taste of it, nothing seems to happen, or we don't like it, and then we go, I'm giving up my practice. I can't help but think how that affects all of us. I want to give you a couple of things that a very good Zen master once gave to me about my practice. I said I didn't feel like I was getting very far in my inner work, and I didn't feel that my meditation was very fruitful. And he said two things are necessary in your practice. He said consistency and an ocean full of patience. So since then, I've had to practice that consistency and the patience with the consistency. Now, I'm like every other American that I know. And if it doesn't work the first time, or if I think it doesn't work the first time, I don't want to do it anymore because I want instant results. I want things just as they are right now and more and more and more. And what I began to find in my meditation time was this greed factor. Isn't it interesting how when we try something once and we don't like it or we don't think it's fruitful, we never go back to it? Now, here is something that scares the heck out of me. It's called a roller coaster. I've only been on one roller coaster in my whole life. I tried it once, and I didn't like it at all. This thing was built, what, in 1925? We're here in San Diego, obviously, and they're going to reopen this puppy on July 4th. Are they going to make it run so it really, and it's going to be, you wouldn't get me on this. Yet, this is a very good symbol for our inner practice. Because the heights scare me and the thing, and who needs this? But you know, something has a lot to do with the way I think a lot of us feel about our inner practice. When we start working with ourselves, sometimes it's like a roller coaster ride. Sometimes there are great highs in our practice because we find something very beautiful, a bliss happens. Sometimes there's some real lows because we find out maybe that we're not the person we'd like to think we are. And then there are those sharp curves that we take where we begin to lose what we think is reality and what is real to us. And then all of a sudden problems start happening. I wonder how many people don't practice their inner work because they tried it once and just didn't like it. You know, it's weird. When I was a little boy, my mother said all the things that are good for you and all the things that are helpful to you will be things you won't want to do. Maybe she was right about that. But it seems to me as though that if we don't have patience in our practice and consistency in that we're never going to find the fruits of it. I would like you to take a look, and I mean this oh so respectfully, so you don't think it's a put down, but begin to understand that spirituality begins with consistency and patience. And why does it take so long for us to get the fruits of it? Well, because there's a lot of greed in us. There's a lot of selfishness in us. And because of the greed and the selfishness, we find it very difficult to be patient with the little blossoms and the little buddings that are trying to come out to bring us the flowers of life and the fragrance of it. I don't know, I think we live in a society that's very self-indulgent. We want instant gratification right away, and we always want constant entertainment in that gratification. I have the privilege of working with people at the center, and I get to look at them a lot. And from my point of view, I mean, I stand up there every Sunday and I'm talking to them and in class talking to them, and they get so easily discouraged when things don't happen for them very quickly. They want their prayer answered right now. They want everything to happen for them right now. Here they are on this roller coaster ride of their life, and they want off. Well, it doesn't work out that way all the time. I hate to say this to you, but I think a lot of the things that happen to us in life that are painful, and a lot of the things that take a long time are a long time not because God is keeping things from us, but because we're going through layers and layers and layers and layers in us. Layers of guilt, of greed, of shame, of anger, of hurt, of pain. And because we have to go through all those layers, it takes time for us to allow ourselves to let go of those things, to deal with them, to understand them and not be shamed by them. There's fast ways of getting to your heart. There are very fast ways, but they require a streamlined attitude that we just don't seem to honor or possess. Life is an unfoldment, and it has to unfold at its own rate. Existence has its own time, its own way, and its own element. And if we allow existence to have that with us, it brings us fruit, but maybe not in the time period that we want it to have. Don't practice something once in your inner work, and because it doesn't bring you instant gratification right now, think that it's a waste of your time. It's not. Sometimes it's like a roller coaster, and sometimes we have to be very patient with it. I'm going to go over here for a moment. We're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to come back, and I want to talk to you more about, I want to try it again, Sam.
You'd have to pay me a lot of money to do that.
Man,
Cool.
I once went up there and I knew when I came down I'd never have children again. There you are. Hi. One thing that must be understood here is that life is a process of unfoldment, and it cannot be, so to speak, blooming upon the demand of us. We have to be very patient with the blooming of our life. You and I live in a society of instant gratification. When we want something to eat, we go to a fast food restaurant or we go to some restaurant, and I just saw one the other day that said, we'll feed you or serve you within 10 minutes of your arrival. Everything is fast in our society. The cars that we drive, the finances that we have. I had a friend of mine telling me, he says he puts the money in the bank and it's gone before he even gets it to the teller. Things are going fast all the time, and we want gratification spiritually the same way. Instant, instant, instant. We have forgotten what it means to be patient and slow. The word slow in our whole culture takes on the meaning of some sort of put down. as though something is deeply wrong. But you have to begin to understand in your spirituality that slow is good. It's the only way things can happen. Things work slowly. Meditation takes time. Why? Because we are going through layers and layers and layers of our mind's resistance. Our mind makes us think that life must be fast, that life must be this way and that way. It is our mind that has made us greedy and angry and hostile and fearful. Those qualities develop kind of a granite-like attitude in us, like a rock. To persevere through the rock is to let the water drip and drip and drip. The water must be consistent and we must be patient. Your meditation time, your inner work, persistence, patience, persistence, patience. Devotion must be there. If there is one word in our society that we have forgotten, it is the word devotion. To be devoted to means that we love something so much that we stay with it through everything that we do. It doesn't mean that we're chained to something. It means that we care about something. And we are so devoted to whatever it is that we are working with inside of ourselves that we let nothing get in the way. It is my opinion, and a Greg Penn human opinion, that you don't have to believe in, but it is my inner opinion that we ought to spend 15 minutes a day, if not more, just doing nothing but sitting in the slowness of ourself, recognizing what it means to be slow, practicing being slow. Just sitting and watching our breathing can be very rejuvenating. It is in those quiet moments of our life that we begin to find that the real patience and practice of our life is staying with ourselves and not trying to do something once, and because we don't get gratification, giving up. It's this deep frustration that we have where we say to ourselves, well, I tried it once and it didn't work, or I didn't like it, so I'm giving it up. We give up on everything. We have disposable cups, disposable food, disposable marriages and relationships. We give them up like that. And you know something, when we give up this easily on things that are very important in life, like nurturing the quality of our spirit or the quality of our heart, we start to give up the things that are really important, like truth, our life, and God. You know, a lot of people have resigned themselves to live a life of mediocrity. They look at their life and they say to themselves, life is painful, life is hurt, there's a few good times in it, you can't understand life, therefore, what the heck? And then they give up on the qualities that would bring us an understanding or an appreciation of life. No one can make you care about your life again. No one can. You and I have to find that within ourselves by never giving up on who we are. Never give up on who you are. Never give up on being with yourself. Don't try to improve upon yourself. Don't try to make yourself over. Discover who you are and never give up the search to find yourself, to be with yourself. You know, the inner practices are not easy at times because they go against our common thought, our logic, and our reasoning. We have developed a very disposable mentality. If it doesn't work once, if I don't like it, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel the way I want it to, if it doesn't give me a thrill, if it doesn't relieve me, then just chuck it. That's the way most people think. But you know something? When you're chucking it, you're chucking your life. You're disposing of yourself. And you're not giving yourself the respect and the care that you deserve as a human being and as a spiritual being. Love is a very, very delicate thing in the beginning. It is only realized through very delicate means, and that means that I can't be harsh. I can't give up on love. I can't give up on my practice, and I can't give up on myself. Consistency in our practice and an ocean of patience with myself and with you. That's what we need. Patience, consistency in our practice. It's funny, we want everything now, but the most important things in our life are trying to happen now. The one that is resisting is myself. When I want more, without the inner effort to go towards that, I cheat myself out of the experience of my heart. We're going to go away in just a moment, and we'll come right back with some how-tos, and I have a story for you I want to share with you on trying. It'll be a very important one, so don't go away. Very important message. I'll be right back.
Come on.
Come here, I want to slap you.
Okay, it's your cue.
Ah, I feel much better. Probably the greatest danger in all of this is the excuse that we make for not practicing and being consistent in our practice. It's a three-letter word that I hear more and more and more from people. They'll say such things like, well, I tried. And we try and we try and we try, but we never really try. There's a reluctance in trying, isn't there? And most people are very reluctant about their trying. Reminds me of a story of a Zen master. One of his students was not practicing too well, and his practice wasn't bringing forth any kind of fruit. So the master was called forth, and the student said, well, what am I doing wrong? So the master took a handkerchief and he dropped it on the floor, and he said, try to pick it up. And the man picked it up and gave it to him, and he dropped it again. He said, try to pick it up. The man picked it up again and gave it to him. And he dropped it again. This went on for hundreds and hundreds of times. And finally, the student said, I don't get it. What's going on? And the master says, take the try out of picking it up, and you will have perfect practice. The trouble with us is that we try something with great reluctance. We don't really put our whole self into it. We just put a very small part of ourself into it. We try. We kind of try with a hesitation, with a doubt, with a skepticism. Well, I'll try closing my eyes and spending just 15 minutes in meditation. So we do it, and we sit there, and our heads goes, well, we tried it, but nothing changed. I don't see lights, and God hasn't descended upon me. And when I open my eyes, I'm still living in the same place with the same person. You know what I mean. This is where our practice falters, and why nothing really happens in our life, because we're so busy in our life trying with such doubt, with such distance. Let me give you some how-tos on this. Maybe some things that you can do within yourself. Please remember, coming to church, watching Aspire, reading or studying, as long as you're in the try mode, it won't work. Nothing happens. Don't try to do it, just do it. Do it because you can. Not because it's going to get you anywhere. Not because you're going to go to heaven, or you're going to go to hell, or you're going to be enlightened, or God will answer your problems. One of the most selfish things we do is pray because we have a problem. It's not bad to pray because you have a problem, but please understand, the only time we ever pray is, oh God, take this away, or oh God, give this to me. God is not the Wizard of Oz. The whole object of living our life is to begin to understand somehow within ourselves that prayer is the practice of our life. It's everything that we do. It's the movement of our life. Don't do things out of greed. Do things because you can. Your life is a prayer, make it a prayer. Chop wood, carry water, because you can. Not trying to do it, but just because you can. Begin to find a gratefulness and a thankfulness in your devotion towards your inner work. Don't live your life for what can happen to you. Live your life just as it is right now. And if your life is in pain, don't try to make the pain go away. Just be with the pain. Seek to understand it by dancing with it, by moving closer to the things that hurt you. Spend some time in meditation. Practice your meditation with consistency, but without expectation. When we practice meditation without expectation, things can happen. When you sit and listen to me without trying to understand, just listening to me like the sound of running water, without trying to analyze it or trying to understand it or decode it, the meaning comes forth, and we find a significance in the things that we are hearing. And we are surprised that all the time we've been in this life, things have been trying to happen to us, but we've been trying too hard to get things. And when I'm trying hard to get things, things aren't clear to me. Another little idea in your practice, try to work with this pup. When you are doing your work, have no destination or goal for yourself. There's no place to go in this life. Life does not move ahead, it does not move behind. It's a progressive nowness, so to speak. Everything is a nowness. And when we begin to live our life in that nowness, we find that destinations and goals and objects and achievements and places and the past just don't mean a doggone thing to us. We stop trying to make mountains out of molehills and trying to make a purpose to our life and a reason for our life, which are nothing more than excuses for the things that we've done. Your practice and your meditation, your inner practice of kindness and compassion and forgiveness. Life is an unfoldment. It unfolds, and it cannot unfold upon the demand of me or you. It unfolds at the rate it unfolds at. And we have to learn to be patient with ourselves. and patient with our own unfoldment, never giving up on ourselves and never trying it, but doing it. If I got any point over to you today, I hope you begin to see that you are not a disposable person. So you tried it once and you didn't like it. You tried it once and you don't think anything happened. Be consistent with it. Eventually, our life changes and we begin to find a reason and a purpose to us that we had never dreamed before. It's an I gotcha. Namaste. Ha! Oh, you caught me. Don't do that again. That's embarrassing. I want to thank you for being with us on this edition of Aspire. I'm grateful that not only you were with me for this particular program, but in this series. And this is the last program in our series of I Gotcha. Listen, I'm sitting in this old, dilapidated cart. This is the one they used to use at Belmont Park. And as I understand it, this puppy's going to be running on July 4th. So if I practice what it is I preach, and I have to, I do.
You bet. We gotcha.
They got me. Then I'm going to have to do this and get on this puppy, and I will someday. It will never be on tape. I will never admit I did it. I may even lie about it. No, I can't do that either. Anyway, I'll do it. I'll get on it, give it a try one more time. If Jimmy goes with me, which he will, my producer, I will go, and we will have a wonderful time. And if we live through it, we'll do other programs with you. Listen, don't give up on your practice. Don't try it once and abandon it. Don't dispose of your inner work. Be consistent with it. There will be times when you don't want to practice. There'll be times when you don't want to do your meditation. There'll be times when you don't want to forgive. There'll be times when you really don't want to give. But those are the times that you and I need to do it the most. Stay with your practice. Stay with yourself. Be true unto yourself in your inner work. Don't do it because there's a destination to it, or you think you'll become enlightened, or you will improve your life. Do it simply because you can. It's one of those I gotcha attitudes. And if you practice it a little bit, the fruits will be amazing. This is the last program in the series, and I've enjoyed doing it. I want to thank the crew and all of the people who made this program possible and allowed us to continue. You know, without all of these people who are behind the camera, I could not be before it. And that means you too and the viewing audience who support the program. I gotcha, my friends. Thank you for being with us. Namaste.